guys, Ken here, your Thrifty Apprentice. Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome back to another thrift review. In today's quick review, we actually going to be taking a look at Zen Art Supplies Art Nomad Watercolor Travel System. I've had this in my possession for a while, and I've held off on doing this review because I was waiting on the paints to come back into stock. Unfortunately, they haven't come back into stock, so these paints are going to make the Where Are They Now list. I have not been able to find them on Amazon, Temu, or AliExpress, which are the three I would normally use. I did source their website. They are out of stock. I reached out to the company a couple of weeks back to see if I can figure out if or when they would be back in stock, but unfortunately I haven't received a reply up to the point of this video, and I really needed to go ahead and get this review done so that I can move on with some other things that I have planned on the calendar. With that being said, they come in this really neat little looking box. It's really neatly decorated, and you know, I love the illustration on it. It gives the artist's name, which is Anastasia, and I won't do her this justice by trying to pronounce that last name. The name of the piece is Nomad Girl, and I think it's really cool. Now, this paint set is a part of their Virtuoso artist line. The paints are meant to target the artist professional market, and that's important to know because they do also make student grade products. Here it says Zen Art Supplies Art Nomad Watercolor Travel System, 24 half pans, 7 tools because there are 6 brushes and an HB pencil included. Let's flip it over on the back. You're going to get a diagram showing you these 6 brushes as well as the HB pencil. It's going to show you a swatching chart of the paints included along with the color name. Now we all know that that is digitized, so I would suggest swatching the paints. Other information included lets you know who they're distributed by, which is Eco Trade Ltd, and that it is designed in London, UK. Paints are made in Korea, and made in China must refer to the palette. That lets you definitely know that the paints are white label. Zen Art Supply is going to be considered a budget art company. They don't manufacture their own. They have a company in Korea specifically to manufacture these paints, and a company in China to make the palette for them. All right, so you get this really neat looking travel watercolor system. I really love the clean lines, the fact that it's just black and white, straightforward, legible writing on the front, which that information says the same thing that we read on the front of the box. Little logo here. Now, you can just put it open from the side in all honesty, but there is a indentation in the front where you just kind of lift and it comes open. As far as the latching is concerned, it's okay. It secures okay. I didn't have any issues with it falling open. You do have to put just a little pressure on it to get it to come open. But on the inside, you are going to find included this little plastic piece, which I do believe is meant to cover the paints and traveling when you're on the go if they happen to still be wet and haven't had time to dry out yet. There's a swatching card, which of course, not sure what type of watercolor paper that is. So another reason I would definitely suggest swatching them on 1 or 2 of the type of papers that you normally use. You get a 100% guarantee card, a thank you card, and then there's also a brochure included, which for a budget company, I can commend that they included the color names, a light fast rating, a transparency rating, as well as pigment information, and then there's a chart on the bottom to decode all of that. Although I appreciate them including that, the problem is you've already told me that the paints are made in Korea, which lets me know you don't make them, and more than likely you are relying on that information that the factory is providing you, and then you're providing it to us. Now, why do I say that? Because when it comes to things of that nature, I really do take light fast ratings specifically with a grain of salt, especially if I do research into the pigments and discover that those pigments aren't normally light fast pigments. And we're going to get to that in just a moment. Now, you get a pretty decent range of colors here. I will give them that. They say that there are 24 colors, but there are actually 26 colors included in the palette. Now, the palette has brushes that are hinged into an individual holder for each brush, which I think is so super cool. I love this design. I really do. It makes it really convenient. It kind of puts everything that you need into one kit, with the exception of like maybe a pencil sharpener, because that pencil does have an eraser on it already. I guess you could probably, I mean, I don't know. There's a pad for cleaning your brushes, or a water brush if you happen to, you know, just take a water brush with you. You're going to get 26, what I do believe to be machine cut, because they're definitely not hand poured, cakes of paint. I'll let you guys see one since they're extruded here. And they did come wrapped in plastic, and of course I've unwrapped them because I have been using them and testing them. That is definitely bigger than the standard half pan of paint. It's wider without a doubt. Now, yeah, it seems to be about as long too. I would definitely say that's a little bit more than a half pan of paint, and you're going to get 26 colors. Cakes seemed to be a little dry when I first opened it, but after using it, you know, they are not dry or ashy looking. That particular cake has a little cracking in it, but it's the only one of all 26 that had any cracking in it. Now you can see the paints do leave a bit of a unusual texture once they've been used, and I've been trying my best to figure out who may possibly make these paints, but honestly I don't have any other paints that give me this particular characteristic after they've been used. Now, quality-wise, and when they paint out, they remind me of some other things that could possibly be related to. But in all honesty, I still have a big question mark over who may actually be producing these paints. With that said, the paints are going to stain the palette, guys. Let me let you know that. Although they do provide pigment information, I felt a lot of times that these may be dye-y. Because they really remind me of my Jane Davenport mermaid markers, as far as a lot of the way the quality and the color control is, which would lead me to believe that it just kind of reminds me of an ink. Let me say it like that. But of course I know I'm looking at paint in front of me, but I'm saying that because it leads back to me saying that they seem like they have dyes instead of pigments, but I don't work for the company, so I cannot verify that. Here you can see there's not any grittiness. There's no chalk. Well, there's no chalkiness. They have a minute, very small grit to it. You might can see a little. Oh, that's still a little wet. Hey, look at that. Who knew? Because I have been painting with them. I thought that had completely dry. But anywho, guys, stay focused. They are going to stain, so just keep that in mind. And that's what you're going to get. You're going to get, let's take a look at these brushes really quick before we look at the chart system here. You are going to get a number, I don't have my glasses on, 4 round, a number 6 flat, a number 12 flat, a number 8 round, a number 14 flat, and a number 10 angle brush with a HB pencil and a white eraser, which I'm really appreciative of. I like white erasers, especially on my watercolor and my mixed media paper. The brushes are round, so they are prone to roll. I did have to chase 1 or 2 of them here or there, but I think they're a really decent, cute travel size. And I love the fact that they have their own individual holders, so I don't have to worry about where I'm storing the brushes when I'm on the go. The heads of each brush is what I do believe to be a synthetic squirrel. They hold a decent amount of water for a travel size brush, and the ferrules are pretty secure to the handle on each brush. I didn't experience any issues with any of that, so I do believe those to be a really decent quality brush in all honesty. Okay, let's move on to looking at swatching. I originally swatched the paints on the initial swatch card, which, as I said earlier, I'm not sure if I even, you know, I don't know what type of watercolor paper that is. However, it did already have the color names printed on a swatch sheet, which made it easy to see how transparent the paints actually were. So what I did here was to swatch the paints in mass tone. Didn't do any glazing, just swatched them in mass tone to see how transparent the mass tone was. And as you can see there, for the most part, they really are, with the exception of the burnt umber, which I think that's me layering more than it is it not being transparent. Although I do believe that the raw umber, and yeah, it's listed as transparent, so that was probably me caking the paint. And the black will get pretty opaque if you layer it up. So then I decided that I'd lay down my own line and swatch the paints in a watery consistency because I wanted to see how transparent they were there. Would they leave any sedimentation? Didn't experience any of that. They really surprised me in that aspect, and I was happy with that surprise. Now here I swatched 2 additional colors, and of course I put unknown information. Because they're not listed in the brochure, you do not have any of the other information that you have about the other paints with this one. So, but if I had to guess, I would think that would be Gamboge, and that would probably be something like a Van Dyke Brown. But that is just me basing it on the experience that I have with paints. Again, I don't know that to be 100%. I swatched the paints out in the order that they're listed in the palette already, and this is just for reference purposes. And we're gonna hold off on that pigment information. So I mixed the colors. I used the cad red, the lemon yellow, and the ultramarine. As you can see here, I got really clean, straightforward, bright mixes. There is no doubt about the fact that these paints are bright and pretty and that they mix cleanly. They check all the boxes there. Here I mixed ultramarine with burnt sienna and ultramarine with raw umber, and was able to achieve 2 different temperatures in gray, as well as mixing all 3 primaries together to get a really substantial gray as well. So again, mixability, really good, guys. Did a salt test, as I typically expect from a watercolor paint of any type of decent quality. They performed well with salt. As you can see, you're going to be able to get all your snowflakes and your sand textures of that nature. Now here I laid down color for us to do a lift test together as we normally do. So I want to go ahead and do that really quickly before I actually talk about the pigment. Let me go ahead and grab a paper towel and let me wet my scrubber brush. I am using a number 8 Menta scrubber by Royal and Langnickel. It's my favorite one. It does a great job, and I'm just gonna go over that one more time, keeping in mind that this is a mixed media paper that this is swatched on. And I normally swatch all my budget and student things in my mixed media book, and I swatch professional paints on 100% cotton. Now I'll do my field testing on 100% cotton. All right, as you can see, they lifted pretty well. Now there is a little staining. Again, I'm gonna say that's because pigments don't really stain like that. I mean, from the palette, from the lift test, and I also experienced some of that same staining in the actual field test painting, which we'll look at in just a moment. So, but they will lift. They will lift enough in order for you to pull off those highlighting effects that you'll be trying to. So, I mean, overall, up until this point, I will say that I didn't find any major qualms with the set at all. And I think it was pretty decent. And then I really started to delve into and study the pigment information. So let's talk about it. Let's start with the fact that their star rating system really seems to be a little off to me. They proclaim that 1 star is good, 2 stars is very good, and 3 stars is excellent, meaning that if I see a 3-star paint, I should have no doubt in my mind that it's going to be light fast and it will stand up being in open light, well, not directly in sunlight, but you know, under museum conditions without fading. And then I start looking at some of the things that they actually gave a 3-star rating to. For instance, they gave a 3-star rating to PY1. I don't know that to be the most excellent non-fugitive pigment. I mean, if anything, I think in most other professional star rating systems, I've seen it fall more so in the middle. Definitely not the most fugitive, but it's definitely not like the most permanent either. I do notice that they have a lot of PG7 mixes, which is phthalo green, which is cool. Pretty reliable color. There's PB15 mixed into a lot of the colors. Of course, that is phthalo blue. I'm definitely going to shoot and say that there are white fillers, or they have white pigments mixed into a lot of these in order to achieve the brightness and the color of some of these, considering the fact of the pigment makeup. I did not understand, for instance, why did lemon yellow need to be made up of PY1 and PG7, but you had CAD free yellow made up of PY1. And they were very specific with putting the fact that this is cobalt free and CAD free to let you know that it is a non-toxic set, which is really cool. I mean, hats off for that particular thing. However, you have pigments like PO13, which they already, they're rating it at a 2-star. But I'm just saying, there's a lot of your brighter colors there that are made up of pigments that I would not necessarily say should fall in a 3-star rating. Of course, they have PR170 already listed as 2 stars. I'm very glad they didn't put 3 stars on that one. All of that to be noted, but those are just little things that I'm nitpicking at, considering the fact that it's a budget set and considering the range that it's in, if it should become available again. Let's take a look at some things that I've done with it so we can go ahead and wrap this on up. So I did a couple of different things with this paint. So you're going to be seeing this one, which has probably been playing in a demo to the right side of the screen as we've done this review. I did this as part of a spread. You guys are probably going to see this in a lot of videos because that was done with Turner, that was done with Derwent, this was done with Derwent Academy, that's Derwent Graphitint, and this is done with the Zen Art Nomad watercolor system. So that's why you're seeing this again in this video. Had no issues. I actually enjoyed doing this painting. I really leaned into it. I just decided to go for the gusto, paint it, make it good, or try to make it good anyway. And I was able to achieve some really nice depth. I think I was able to pull off emulating the like juice pockets that you see in like an orange. So I was pleased with it. I didn't have any issues. I feel like it turned out okay. The paints perform really well. They flow so crazy. They have an incredible flow. Here's a little night scene I did, just kind of practicing and playing around with the paints. Here is a little tutorial that I actually followed by Lindsay, the Frugal Crafter. Just kind of playing around with the paints. Just seeing, what I could do with them. And I think they're pretty. I really do. This is Paul Ruben's. And you guys maybe have seen me post this because I posted this on Facebook, and I may have posted it in the community section here on the channel, which is a great resource for you guys to check for, because I post things that I don't necessarily may not do videos on. No problems with any of this. No problems with the glazing. No problems with the transparency. No problems with the flow. No problems with a shift in color. None of that. The only thing is I do not believe that the pigment information may be as reliable, or should I say the light fast information, in comparison to the actual pigment makeup that they give is as reliable as they say it is. So I wouldn't trust I'm just saying I wouldn't trust the light fast information. Other than that, there's no issue with the paints. I think it's a wonderful travel system. I think it's designed really well. And it actually performs better than a lot of other travel art kits. I do understand why they say it targets artists and professionals, but I would definitely put it in the student grade category. It's definitely not a professional artist grade paint. All right. If and when, I can't even remember how much I paid for it. I'm going to keep look on it. I want to say it was around 30 bucks. It's been a minute ago, and I actually didn't go back to look up the price because I know it's not available. I'm going to put the link for Zen Art Supply where this is available in the video description. That way, if you guys want to periodically come back and check to see if it's in stock because you decided you wanted it, that information will be available in the video description so that you don't have to search for it. You can just come back to the channel and find it without any issue. If I can find the out of stock link for it on Amazon, I will also include that link as well so that you can check to see when the paints may come back in stock. If they do, it's definitely a paint traveling system that I would recommend. Of course, I only recommend it for sketchbook work, you know, the different things like that, card making, crafting. It's CAD free and it's Cobalt free, so I don't see why kids wouldn't be able to use it, although I do think it's a little bit of more of a sophisticated traveling system than just for a kid. But outside of that, there you have it. Guys, hopefully you saw something in this video that you found helpful or useful, or you just enjoyed hanging out with me again for another review and little quick demo painting that we got going on over there. If you did, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe. If you're returning and you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. Everybody hit the notification bell because it's going to let you know when this new content is coming out. And I've got some really exciting things planned, kind of moving on from the whole Superior Experience demo. The video description is going to have all of the relevant information from the Facebook link for the Facebook group where all artists and crafters are welcome without question, where we show each other respect and we share and show each other the things that we're doing. I love it. There is a link for the Patreon, which is now up and going with the first level, new levels to come. There's a link for the Esty shop, which is going to get stocked as I go, I promise. And there's a link for the most recommended product list, which is going to give you good quality budget supplies that are not going to break your pocket. All right, guys, that's all for me today. As I tell you at the end of every single video, just keep painting and crafting.